happy. She's the happy coach. She's going to talk to us about her journey. Let's bring her on. She's joining us from the UK. Her name is Toni Milliken. Hi, Toni.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm fantastic. Thanks. How are you?
I'm brilliant, thank you.
Wonderful. And where in the UK are you?
I'm in North Norfolk. So as you look at a map of the UK, I'm on the right-hand side on the big bump where it's really flat and windy.
Okay, very nice. And we want to say hello to Mr. Ben Chai, who referred you. Thank you so much, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Toni, as I mentioned briefly in the introduction, you're all about happiness. You're the happy coach. So I'd love to just start off, if you would share with us, what is the work that you're doing today, and what does it mean to be the happy coach?
So the work that I'm doing is spreading my faith and belief to the world, getting my message out there that we all deserve to be happy. We all have the ability to be happy. We all have all of the unique skills, gifts, and talents within us to embrace that in every moment of every day. And my want is to empower the world, to educate the world that it's a possibility, it's within your reach, that you don't have to look outside of yourself to places and people and things to fill up what's on the inside. The person that can really fill that up and change your life from the inside out is you, and everything that you need to be really truly happy is right within you. Because how to best describe it? When you find that alignment between what you say, what you think, and what you do, and actually they all operate as one, that's when you're really in flow, and that's when you can speak with ease what's on your mind. It's when you can do the things that you want to do. It's when you can say no to things that you don't want to do. It's when you have that complete peace and contentment and alignment with your relationships, with your work, with where you live, with the car you drive. You know, these are all elements that from the outside, for the longest time, it's been a belief that if I have this, then I will be happy. When I reach this, then I will be happy. When I, as an example, when I find a husband, I will be happy. When I buy the Ferrari, then I'll be happy. And none of it's true. And so often we see people in society who achieve those things and then become a crupper because actually they go right back to square one because they realize that didn't work and then they have to start again. So my work in this world is to help people to get up close and personal with what truly makes them happy, so that they can then go out and live and enjoy the things that are available for them to experience from a place of worthiness and deserving those things, as opposed to feeling like they need them to be someone. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense. Thank you so much. And I love the work that you're doing. And so much of what you just shared really resonated with me. I remember there was a time in my life when I was obsessed with buying shoes and bags because I had to have whatever the latest was that nobody else had. And then I would get it and get the bill and I'd be like, oh, and then you hate yourself. It's like this pattern that's totally dysfunctional, and you realize you have to look within, that there's nothing you can spend your money on that really is probably going to bring you that happiness unless it's giving away to other people and helping others, I think.
Exactly. And I describe that I have a happy tank, and for the longest time it was a case of trying to cram things into the happy tank that didn't fit, or they might fit for a while but actually they just didn't fill the space. It was a bit like Jenga, but using different shaped blocks instead of just rectangular. And it's getting up close and personal with what your happy tank looks like.
I like that, happy tank.
Yeah, it's kind of what to put in that tank. What fuel does your happy tank take? Because so often we're putting the wrong fuel in, thinking, well, the performance isn't great. What do I need to do? Do I need an MOT? What else do I need to be able to make this work? And actually, often it's just about the fuel.
It's about the fuel. So, Toni, I'm wondering, you weren't always this happy, probably. Did something happen in your life that you had to really reevaluate yourself and how you were feeling and what you were doing?
So there was definitely a journey there, and I growing. I will try and keep to a container of time, because I do know I like to talk, and I know you'll keep me on time. So growing up, my mum and dad divorced at quite a young age, and at a very early age, I was made aware of the fact that I was a mistake. And I was told that quite regularly, that I interrupted business plans, I interrupted life plans, that I was quite an inconvenience. And I then, as I was growing up, I had a younger brother and a younger sister, so I was then the oldest. And there was always the challenge of being the older sister, setting an example, doing the right thing, looking after your brother and sister. And then as I grew up, mum and dad didn't get on so well, and mum impressed a lot around how poor we were, and how money didn't grow on trees, and how my dad didn't quite love us as much as he loved his other family, because he was very wealthy and he drove an Aston Martin and he had a big house, but yet we didn't. And his children got everything they needed, and we got hand-me-downs and second-hand things. So growing up, there was a lot of interesting information delivered to me around my worth and the amount I was loved and my place in the world and kind of who I was. And then I went to school, and as you can see, I think from the camera, I have red hair and I have freckles, and I had braces too. So that was an interesting challenge at school, because I did look different to everybody else. I was wearing outdated clothing from probably the 1970s, 1980s, because my mum didn't have the money to buy us kind of clothing for school. So I had to wear lots and lots of hand-me-downs. So I got bullied a little bit about that, as you can imagine. And I grew up believing that rich people were bad, because I was led to believe that my dad was a bad person because he had money. So fast forward to kind of getting to the point of going on to further education. I didn't do that. I went out and went to work because I thought we needed money. You had to make money in life. So I, at the age of 17, went to quite a prestigious company. At the time, it was Brown and Root, then Halliburton, come KBR. And I had quite an important job. So very swiftly, I'd gone from being a child to being in the professional world, and it overwhelmed me in a huge way. I did my best. I always wanted to make sure I was doing enough for everyone and making everybody happy. But actually, I was doing all of that from a place of feeling unloved, unworthy, not particularly intelligent, not having an education. So I was in daily conflict with who I was showing up in the world as, which very quickly came out as IBS. It came out as insomnia. It came out as starting to develop kind of anxiety and depression. So I started to very quickly spiral to a place of really being lost in the world. I just, for the longest time, couldn't find my way, because, and it's interesting being able to look back at it now. At the time, I didn't feel like I was worthy. I was in a relationship with a partner that I entered into very quickly, which was also quite destructive, because I didn't trust him because of the upbringing I'd had with my mum and dad, where the mum and dad's relationship wasn't ideal. There was a lot afoot there. So my example as to what a relationship should look like wasn't ideal. And what the part of my story that I'm really keen to help people to see is just because the modeling, what you see growing up and what you believe to be true, doesn't mean it's true for you. And it was a case of, it took me years, and lots of evolution, lots of learning, lots of seeking help from different places, lots of exercises, lots of tools, lots of learning, lots of ups and downs and setbacks as to how to unpick all of that, because it did have to all be unpicked. I didn't realize until probably 10 years ago, maybe 7 to 10 years ago, that I dealt with abandonment issues my whole life. And that wasn't something that was present for me. It took for me to start that journey of unpicking the layers of not being enough, not having enough money. No good people earn money. It's only bad people that can be wealthy and get rich. Just the barrage of thoughts, and it's really interesting as you look at it, because in terms of how that kind of shows up in the world. How am I trying to translate this? Sometimes finding the right words, and I'm not sure if you're seeing where I'm trying to get to this particular point, just to get this bit out. Sometimes we're the best people at getting in our own ways.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, being able to get out of my own way was the key. And albeit what I experienced, some might feel, oh, actually, well, that doesn't sound that bad. I had made it bad because of the decisions I'd made. I was the sum total of all the choices and decisions I'd made in my life to that point where I was really struggling. And all of those choices and decisions weren't ideal ones. Okay, but I had the power to change them, but at the time I didn't realize. So getting to the point where I could then shine a light and go, hang on, I've got a choice here. This can be different, because, you know, it took me to the place where I was sat in a bath one night and didn't really understand why I was on this planet. I couldn't see a value, you know, albeit I was the most magnificent people pleaser. Everybody thought I was the happiest person they know. I could fix everybody and everyone around me. I could fix everybody's problems. I could make everybody happy. I could entertain people. I could really shine and help them to be the best they could be. But when it came to me, I was so unhappy. I was miserable. I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it took for me to be in a bath one night, sitting there thinking, well, actually, you know, this life, this planet doesn't seem like one that's actually worth living on. But that was all from within my own head. I had
Toni,
the ability. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much for your transparency and for your authenticity. I know sometimes it's hard to look back where we were, and actually it's almost like reliving it again in some ways. So I really appreciate you being here and sharing all that. I want to just unpack that a little bit. So you talked about the upbringing and your father and the way he spent money and the way that money was spent, you know, with you and your immediate family, and the way you looked and the way you felt you were perceived or received. And then you had physical ailments. When the physical ailments started showing up, did you look at them at the time and were able to tie them back to how you were feeling inside? Or was it sort of like you were feeling one way and then these things are happening to you, but they were unrelated in your mind?
At the time, I had no idea that they were connected to my mind, completely blissfully unaware. And I went to the doctors, I went to the GP on a number of occasions, and each time, all they did was this: have these pills, get signed off work, and just go away. It's basically what happened every time. And every time I said no. And I didn't know why I was saying no, but something intrinsically within me just said no, this isn't right. This isn't helping, but that is not that's not the opportunity. And it was multiple times that happened.
So it sounds like, in addition to how you were feeling, you reached out for some help about your physical ailments, and you were told, take these pills, basically stuff everything down, just keep putting everything down, throw some pills back, and everything will work out. So you realized that it didn't work out. And what was the next step? So you're in the bath, you have this revelation that you don't feel like you belong, you don't know what your value is or your journey. What was the next thing that happened that all of a sudden you started to shift your perspective?
I broke through the biggest barrier that I'd created for myself in life and asked for help. Because my whole life, being the oldest and being responsible and being a people pleaser and a peacekeeper, because I like to keep the peace between my parents and everything else going on in the world. I didn't like conflict because I'd grown up seeing conflict, if you know what I mean. So I broke through that biggest barrier of being able to do everything for everyone and having to be able to do everything myself and fix myself and resolve myself. And I went, darling, and this was my husband, darling, I sat in the bath last night and this is what happened. I think I actually need help. And bear in mind that I had attempted so many things over my lifetime, different, you know, I hadn't sat on my laurels doing nothing. I had tried different avenues to find a way to get from where I was to where I wanted to be, where I wanted to find a way forward. I tried different things, but I hadn't found it yet. But it was in that moment where I spoke up, and something that I feel so strongly about, and it's one of my key pillars, is verbalization gives power. Because the moment I said, darling, I need help, something shifted. I felt it in my being. I felt it universally. Just things started to change. the moment I surrendered.
Congratulations to you. That is a huge step. And I hope our audience is taking that into heart, because that really is important. How were you received? How did your husband receive that information?
He was absolutely brilliant. We're quite different in terms of personality. I'm very sensitive, very talkative. He's very much not. He's absolutely wonderful. So what he did, which was wonderful, was just kind of sit and hold the space for me to have an outlet. So it wasn't a case of, oh gosh, we need to cart you off. It wasn't, oh gosh, let me phone 999. It was, okay, whatever we need to do, we will do. This is possible. We're together. There's nothing that we can't do. We can do whatever we need to do next. And just by him being there and allowing me, that it was over lunchtime actually, and I remember it kept coming and kept coming, and it was like somebody had actually just turned the tap and let all the pressure out, and that's when my evolution, the journey really began.
That is so brilliant, especially the fact that you have a spouse who gave you the space that you needed. Because if you had been with someone who had a similar type of personality as you, it might be a very different outcome. So congratulations to you and to your husband for having that relationship and that connection. We are going to take a break, and we're going to hear from some of our sponsors. And because it's a Friday and we're going to talk to our audience about hope and inspiration, I'm going to play a music video from one of our former guests who is very inspirational, and then we'll take a break and hear from some sponsors. We'll be right back. Our first clip is from ILO, I-L-O. She is a performer from the UK, and this clip is with Toni Moore, the legendary Toni Moore, and the clip is Heroes in Disguise. We'll be right back on Stories of Hope, Inspiration, and Overcoming Adversity. Stay with us.
What you give me is just not enough. I need a love to take me higher and higher and higher. Every step I take, I feel more awake. Getting closer now, I feel so alive. Stopping me, this is how I live. Ever closer now. Just follow love, and love will take you there.
Hi, welcome back to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. You are watching or listening to Stories of Hope, Inspiration, and Overcoming Adversity. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and my guest today is Toni Milliken. In the first segment of our show, Toni, the happy coach, shared what it is she's doing today, and then she also took us back to a place in time when she wasn't very happy, and how her life started to spiral, and she was throwing herself into helping other people, into her career, into everything she possibly could, except for looking within. And she had this breakthrough moment when she realized that she wasn't feeling that good about herself or the value she was bringing to this world. And now we're going to spend the rest of the show talking about when that change came, when that light switch flipped, when you move forward, and now how you are bringing hope. You are the light and you are the inspiration.
Thank you. So the moment that everything changed, the moment I actually asked for help was, I can't even begin to tell you the release, the relief, the energetical shift, because verbalization does give power. And so I then embarked upon a journey where I started to talk to people, and I started to try and find people who knew what I was going through or had been where I was. So instead of going to what I call the traditional route of being fixed or helped to the doctors who offered me pills, I started to go looking for people. I started, I had been meditating for a number of years, and through the people that I'd met through that process, I found people who could understand my struggles, who could understand the beliefs that I had taken on board as my own that weren't mine. I found people that could help me change the decisions that I had made about myself, about my self-image. I used to believe that I was supremely ugly, that nobody could find me attractive because I had red hair, freckles, I was 5'2", just there was nothing going for me. So I found people who could help me understand how I could get over that thought. I didn't want to hold that thought. I knew it wasn't healthy. I didn't enjoy it. So I found somebody who could help me remove those limiting beliefs. I found somebody to help me rewire those decisions. I found somebody to help educate me as to actually who I really was, because I had lost all my sense of identity. By putting everybody else first for so long, I had lost who I was. I had become Tami. So I was one half of my relationship with my husband. I wasn't me anymore. I did everything he wanted to do, right? I went to everywhere my friends wanted to go. So I found somebody who could help ask me the right questions so that I could understand who I really was and stop saying, where do you want to go? Oh, I don't mind. Where do you want to go? What would you like to eat? Or what would you like to eat? Something staff does on a Friday night takeaway, would you rather have Indian or Chinese? And I'd be thinking Indian, and I would say, what would you like? Chinese? Let's have Chinese. I'd spent so long doing that. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know how to choose. I'd lost my ability to see the power of choice that I had. So after starting to peel back these layers of all of the beliefs that had been pressed upon me, that I had chosen to be my own, because that's important to note. Nobody can make you feel anything. That was a big learning for me. He makes me feel like that. Mum made me do this. My dad made me like, no. We have a choice in every moment of every day. We have a choice. And I'd chosen all these things for myself because I didn't know better. So after educating myself as to how to understand who I really was, what I was capable of, reconnecting my mind, body, and spirit so that my conscious mind and my unconscious mind were in cahoots as opposed to in conflict all the time. I know what I want. I know what I want this. And my conscious mind would go, no, but you're not worthy of that. Make sure they get what they want. That's right. And I was educated around, if I'm always putting other people first and I'm helping other people and I'm serving other people and it's making me feel really good, by not allowing that back, I was actually sabotaging anybody's ability to help me become happy, because I was putting blocks in to stop them from giving me what I wanted or to help me. And actually that wasn't serving them. I was leaving them miserable because they so desperately wanted to help me, but I wouldn't let them. It took for my eyes to be open to realize that, giving and receiving is a good thing. Giving all one way means that it doesn't give other people the ability to give to you, and my biggest realization was that in every moment of every day, and this is, are you familiar with Louise Hay?
Yes.
Yeah. So I absolutely love and adore Louise Hay. And one of her books was such a pivotal moment of my journey, You Can Heal Your Life. And in it, she describes the only thing you're ever dealing with is a thought. And a thought can be changed. And that was one of the biggest learnings and realization moments of my life, that whenever I call it my monkey mind, whenever my monkey mind was getting involved and trying to sabotage the real authentic me speaking, it was just a thought. And I could take that thought and I could look at it and I could find out if it was true. and I could choose to put it away, and that it didn't need to have control over me. You know, I regained the control of my life.
Congratulations. That is exceptional. Yes, it is. And you touched on something that I also want to just dive into a little bit deeper. Sometimes when we have these revelations and when we do the work and we actually change our patterns of behavior, people around us are not always happy. And they're not always happy. I'm not saying in your case specifically, but they're not always happy because they're used to you being the way that you were. And now they have to do work potentially. Or maybe the relationship, it doesn't matter if it's husband, wife, spouse, neighbor, somebody at work. Maybe that relationship is not going to survive because one person has these great insights and the other people are back here not having them. So what have you found about that, Toni?
So big change in relationships. So my relationship with my husband evolved, improved, changed dramatically overnight when I realized that by stopping pointing the finger at him, because as I was pointing the finger at him, there was 3 fingers pointing at me. I didn't realize that. When I realized that, when I helped myself and got out of my own way, our relationship changed overnight, because for the longest time I wanted a divorce. I wanted to leave him because it was all his fault. He didn't lift a finger. I did, and our relationship bloomed and blossomed, which was lovely. A good number of friends kind of fell away from the wayside because they didn't understand what was going on. They didn't like the language I was using. I made it seem too unrealistic that you could have a breakthrough and change and get to that point in life. They didn't like that was possible, so they took a step away. They didn't believe it to be true, which is really sad and a real shame, because of course with love I would love for them to come along on that journey, but everybody in their own time. Even some family members have taken a step back, because actually by being authentically me and being honest and open with love in everything, sometimes that's too much. It just, the communication channels change, but I chose not to go back into a shell. I chose not to put up a layer. I chose not to put on another mask. I chose to shine a light, because that light will always be there. And when they're ready to come along and find out more, or to get close to that light and to want to step away from the shadow themselves, I'll be there. I don't want to hold their hand in their pain. I want to pave the way and shine a light so that they can follow.
Beautiful. And sometimes we find also that people are not going to do the work. They're not going to come along, and maybe they were in our lives for a certain reason, for a certain season, and that's okay.
Yes, and that is okay. And that was another learning, because of course I wanted to make everybody happy. I thought I had to be liked by everybody in order to validate myself and make sure I had a place in the world. But now I know that I am me, and those that want to be around me and exchange with me and grow with me and learn with me are there, and those that aren't, that's okay too. I've made peace with that.
Bravo. That's excellent. Toni, as we enter the last part of our show, I'd love to focus on how you work with people. What is your process as a happy coach? How do you onboard, and what can people expect when they work with you?
So the program that I've developed is, funnily enough, called the H.A.P.P.Y method, which was a very wonderful and happy accident, because in working through the stages and bringing together the steps that I undertook and condensing it into 5 steps as opposed to 15 years. The way I look at it, I've been through the 15 years of pain and suffering so that others don't have to. There's not enough time for everybody to go out and do it all again. So the H.A.P.P.Y method is whereby I take people through a journey over a 12-week period, and I take them through the steps. So step 1, being H for happy, is about helping people to learn to live in the here and now. So to stop living in tomorrow, to anticipating, to moving forward, to always longing for, to seeking for, to want to take action in the tomorrow, or looking back to yesterday. Well, it didn't work then, so it's not going to work now. To stop drawing on the past. It's to allow people to drop those, to stop looking forward and backwards, and actually to be in the now. So that's the first step, is really to get present in your body and to start gaining awareness as to actually who you are. Step 2, authenticity. So that's really uncovering all of those limiting beliefs and decisions, starting to unpick those layers as to who have you developed into that actually isn't you at all. So it's really unleashing that glorious light and energy that you were born with back out into the world, and understanding that that's okay, removing anything that prevents you from being and showing up in the world as that person. And then it's over to P for purpose. So it's helping people to understand why they're really here, what they're really good at. So if you've been working in a job for the last 30 years and it's been driving you crazy, okay, when you learn to live in the now and know who you are, actually, what do you want now? So it's looking at right now, in the journey that you've been on, the skills you've learned, what you've realized about yourself and what you're learning about yourself, it's getting up close and personal with why you're here and what the biggest gift you can give the world, how you can make a difference. Then P for power. So it's about understanding that you have the ability to create your world, because your inner world creates your outer world. So it's ensuring that who you're showing up on the inside is the same on the outside. It comes back to authenticity and being in the present. It's understanding that you are a creator. The universal pulse of creation flows through you at every moment of every day, and it's up to you how you use it. So it's helping people to understand that the power is within you. It always has been. You've just got to turn it on. And then the Y is for you in control. So it's about understanding that you have a choice. You were born perfect for purpose, and you were born with all the unique skills, gifts, and talents you would ever need to be able to make a difference on this planet. But it's only you that can do that. It's only you that can make that difference. It's not anybody out here. It's not what somebody tells you is possible. You are in control. So it's a 12-week transformational process of peeling back all the layers, discovering the seed within, watering it, nurturing it, putting it in the right soil, letting the sunlight in so that seed has the best opportunity to grow and be strong and provide shade for other seedlings, or to provide flowers for people to see and appreciate. And it's really interesting, the song you played, the Heroes in Disguise, I thought that was absolutely fascinating and so apt for our conversation, because in my mind, we are all heroes in that we were all born and placed on this planet to help each other. There's more than one of us, because actually we are born to connect and to interact and to learn from one another. Before Google existed, before there were encyclopedias, people learned from people. People had connection. We had way less psychological issues. We had way less mental health issues, when actually we were allowed to simply be with each other and interact and communicate, right? So we all have the ability to be a hero. We are all born heroes, and we are all in service to one another. And I'm so desperate to help make a difference in the world by helping people to understand and realize the power that they have within to live the life of their dreams for themselves, and the difference they can make in the lives of others just by simply being who they are. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, thank you for that wonderful explanation. I appreciate it. As we close out, I just want to touch on one thing you and I discussed this very briefly backstage, and that's just about TikTok. So if you can share anything about what your success has been, or what your approach has been to be successful on TikTok, and actually what success looks like on TikTok.
Well, it's interesting, because it's still a newish channel for me. But here's the thing. As a mindset coach, I am learning how best to digest and assimilate and get my message out to the world. And sometimes by putting the constraints of text or typing or story writing or fitting into a box doesn't suit me so well. So here's what I did. I got a bit uncomfortable in that area and thought, okay, I need to try something different. So I looked at what was around and available to me, and I saw TikTok, and I saw the energy in TikTok, and I saw the vibrance, and I saw the ability to be so authentic and unpoised and unscripted. And I thought, I want me some of that. So I just got on board and started creating content. And I didn't try to script it so much. I didn't try to make it fit into a typical business model, as it were. I just went hell for leather and started creating videos. And here's the thing. That's where all of my clients are coming from right now. Because, well, I say because my interpretation of that is because I am there and I am showing up and being authentic and delivering my message, and people are feeling my energy. They're getting an insight into who I am, what I stand for, and are resonating with that vibration. People are contacting me and saying, hey, I feel like you could help me. I feel like you understand where I've been. And so I've been onboarding people through TikTok for the moment, because it really works for me. It's educating me and helping me to understand the best way of translating me into the world. So who knows what platform I will, as I grow and evolve from there, who knows where I will appear next. But in terms of TikTok, it's a powerful channel. And despite people telling me it's for kids, it's daft, it's just a time suck, the wealth of wisdom and information and help that is available on TikTok is quite vast, as I'm coming to learn. And primarily I was learning that through my clients, who were telling me, if I'm feeling a bit down, I'll often come to TikTok and watch a couple of videos on the subject I'm looking for, and it always leaves me feeling better. And I thought to myself, what better place to be? People are going there for goodness. People might go to Facebook to air their laundry or to Instagram to tell a story, but on TikTok, it's all about entertaining. It's about uplifting. It's about empowering. And actually, that's what I'm all about. So right now, as a channel, it's really fitting me quite well. I'm really enjoying it as a space.
That's exciting. You've motivated me to go check it out over the weekend. I think I have an account, but I don't really use it. So thank you very much. Toni, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I feel very honored that you shared your story here. So thank you very much. And I'm going to spotlight you one more time, and please let our audience know the best ways to reach out to you and who should contact you.
So I would say the best way of getting in contact for the moment is through my website, which is discovermyhappy.com. And who should get in contact with me? So here's the thing. I'm not a coach who will help you build your online business. I'm not a coach that will help you get more clients. I'm not a coach that will help you with time management. I'm a coach. I'm a mindset coach who can help you if you've lost your way a little bit in the world, if you are feeling like there's more to this world, like you've got a gift, you've got something, you've got va-va-voom, but actually it's being lost. You haven't got a channel for it. You're being repressed in some way. You're not showing up in the world as yourself. You're feeling a bit like a caged animal who's frustrated and angry because they can't authentically translate out to the world. Drop me a line. Let's talk, because I have first-hand experience of being in that cage, many types of cages, all different shapes and sizes, and I can help shine a light on the steps you can take to, for want of a better word, get out of your own way so that you can shine your light into the world and make your difference. Yes, anybody who's feeling a little bit lost, a little bit frustrated, and actually is ready to go find and take back control of their life again, please drop me a line. I have all the time in the world for you.
Thank you, Toni. Bravo to you again, and congratulations on all your success and all of your happiness. I feel it coming through the technology here.
Thank you, and thank you so much for the opportunity to spread my message and share the word that happiness is here, people. It's here. Just go get busy finding it. It's right under your nose.
Absolutely. Thank you again, and we look forward to having you back on this or another show in the future, and I hope you have a lovely weekend.
Thank you so much. You too, Dr. Jacalyn. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, everyone. I just love her message, and I wish you would reach out to Toni. I think she has a lot to offer. She's been through quite a journey herself, and she has key learnings that you want when you're working with somebody. You want somebody who understands how you feel and what that journey looks like. So again, please do reach out to her. We have one more show coming up, and it is presenting Pet Psychic Amina. So our show starts momentarily. You can watch from wherever you're watching now. We'll be right back. Thank you again to Toni. Thank you to Ben Chai for the referral. And again, we'll see you very soon in a few minutes on our next program. Bye.